Huh. A lot of stuff. Good bit of stuff back there. None of it's mine. Not even a little bit. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Booze Brew Podcast. My name is Carter Gustin, and I'm so glad that you're here joining me today as I talk about yet two more SEC schools staying in the SEC West today with two teams SEC West. But welcome to not my apartment. I decided to go home, and so now I'm home in the house that I grew up in Birmingham. I am in my dad's office right now, actually recording this. No microphone today. Honestly, I feel like there should be something. I feel like naked without anything blocking like half my vision. So it's a little weird. But yeah, I'm in my dad's office. All this stuff behind me is all his. None of it is mine. So decided to try a new location. I went home. No radio shows this week. Class is over for the summer. Class for the fall starts next week. So I had a week of nothing. So I came home to see my family and hang out with some friends before class started. My parents are now empty nesters. Little sister is currently going through Rush. So good luck, little sis. But let's get started with some college football today. Alabama and Texas A&M on the chopping block, and I got my notes set up right here. I left my schedule, my little green sheets of paper, the schedule is still sitting on my desk in my apartment. So I redid these two schools, so I'm pretty sure what I did was the same I had before, but we will see. But let's start with Texas A&M. What's going on at Texas A&M? Because there's a lot of scandal going on there. I don't want to say the university, the team is in shambles, but I kind of want to say that. So I think I'm going to and say they are in shambles. Three or four? Almost every single quarterback they had last year is gone. No more. He is gone. They're gone. And but they got a transfer, a good transfer from Oklahoma. If you don't know who it is, Trevor Knight is his name. And if you remember back to a couple years ago when Alabama lost in the Sugar Bowl to Oklahoma, Trevor Knight is the guy who orchestrated that game for the Sooners, and now he has transferred to Texas A&M. And for the first time since Johnny Manziel, there is not a question mark at quarterback for Texas A&M. Now, let it be known, if he is hurt, I couldn't tell you who else is on the roster to take his place. And I looked. I actually looked and did research. I don't know. I don't know. But he is good. He is good. And so the offense is going to be... Well, I'll get to offense in a few minutes. But what about this the Kevin Sumlin situation there? And I don't even know if it is a situation, but Kevin Sumlin, excuse me, Kevin Sumlin is named number one, el numero uno, in my list for coaches with the hottest seat. I think it is time for him to go. I thought it was time for him to go many years ago, and if it wasn't for the success of Johnny Manziel, I don't think he'd be there right now. So I think it's time for him to go. I've said that for several years, but yet he is still there. And I haven't seen anything. I don't think anybody's been as critical of him as I have been. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody do it. But I think it might be time. Maybe. I don't know. The question is, who do you get to replace him? And I have no idea. I don't know what names would be out there. But Kevin Sumlin was quoted the other day and saying that he thinks this is going to be a top 15 defense. And when I read that, I'm like, boy, does he need it. Because if he doesn't put together a good year this year, they don't make a bowl game this year. Let's say they miss out. I think he's gone. I would have him gone anyways. But he thinks this could be a top 15 defense. Myles Garrett is good. He's on Heisman contender lists. Myles Garrett, Heisman lists? Maybe? I just don't know. But I just don't see it. He thinks he's good, and he's really great. Question is, I don't even think he'll be the best defensive end in the league. But I'll get to that in a few minutes here. But as far as the defense is concerned, their defensive backfield is good. Defensive line is good. Their linebackers are not, and they haven't been for several years. Is there enough depth at linebacker for Texas A&M? Is there enough consistency? If they're consistent and can find depth, then maybe. But they have a problem stopping the run. Can't stop the run. In a place like SEC, specifically the SEC West, where you have to go against running backs named Bo Scarborough, maybe Leonard Fournette, you got to stop the run. And right now, their linebackers can't do it. They haven't been able to do it for the last couple of years, and that's been their biggest struggle. Also, on the other side of the ball, their offensive line, they're not that good either. They've been good. When Manziel was there, that was their strongest. They had one of the best offensive lines in the nation when Manziel was there. They don't anymore. They're replacing 3 people on the line. Eric McCoy's going to take center, and Coto Martin is going to take right tackle. And there's 2 of the replacements there, and those are good guys, I think. But we don't know. They're untested. We don't know what they're going to get. Also, it should be noted, the offensive line coach, he's missing 5 games due to suspension because of some inappropriate slideshow that him and I believe is a special teams coach put together and held. So both of them are going to be missing the first 5 games of the season. What? That's not good. 5 games. That's a good part of this. That's a good portion of the year. As well as the fact they're implementing a new offensive system with new offensive coordinator Noel Mazzone. I don't know how to say his name. I know how it's spelled. But he's going back to up-tempo, back to what you would expect out of Texas A&M. And it should be good. Trevor Knight coming in is a good quarterback. He's going to get consistent play. It's going to be one of their stronger positions this year. And Texas A&M is loaded at wide receiver. Names like Christian Kirk, Josh Reynolds, Ricky Seals-Jones, Speedy Noel. These are going to be names that you're familiar with at the end of the year. You might not be now, but you will be. These guys are home run threats every single play. Trevor Knight's actually someone who can get them the ball, which is something they've been missing for the last few years. They're going to score a lot more points this year. Their offense is going to be back to what you think of. You think Texas A&M, you think offense. This is more like what that offense is going to be if that offensive line can pull it out. So the offense is going to be better. But what about the defense? And I was talking about Myles Garrett earlier, and is he the best defensive end in the league? Maybe. But in the nation? I don't even think he's going to be the best one in the league, is the point. Because, let's say Carl Lawson, he might be able to compete with put up some Myles Garrett numbers, as well as Derek Barnett at Tennessee and Charles Harris at Mizzou. Between the three of them and add Myles Garrett to the mix, defensive ends in the SEC just in general are going to be stacked this year. And who is the best one of them? Will he be a Heisman contender? Because Myles Garrett is, and I don't understand why he is, and these guys aren't. Because I don't think Myles Garrett's any better than any of them. Or if he is, it's not much. Very slim. But the deal is with Texas A&M is they're not consistent at all. Not even a little bit. In the past, their quarterbacks, they've played 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the last, each season. Wide receivers, they're not doing well because their quarterbacks can't get them the ball. Running backs are whatever because their offensive linemen can't block for them, open up holes. Offense has been a shell of what it has been. Defensive line's been good. Myles Garrett, he's been a strong part of that defense. Gets a lot of sacks, pass breakups, what have you. Linebackers, paper thin. You can run on them all day. You get past the first line, they're gone. You get past the defensive line, which is not the easiest thing in the world, but if you can get past the defensive line, you get 8-9 yards because the linebackers aren't going to stop you. Defensive backfield's pretty good. Texas A&M's just not good right now. They're just not. And they haven't been for the last few years. And I think a lot of that is due to Kevin Sumlin. Kevin Sumlin is a good coach. as far as offense is concerned. He put together good offenses. He did it at Houston. He did it at Texas A&M under Johnny Manziel. But how much of that was just Johnny Manziel? Because I'm starting to think more and more of it just was. I don't think it was much Kevin Sumlin. Everyone was giving Kevin Sumlin. I remember right after Johnny Manziel came through and they were winning all these games. They were dominating the SEC when they first came in. And Kevin Sumlin got a raise. And everyone's like, oh, he's a great coach. What's he done since then? Nothing. Scandal after scandal. He's lost so many recruits. Texas is taking back over the state. Oklahoma is taking over some of Texas as well. And then Texas Tech is even doing well in recruiting. Texas A&M's not doing well in recruiting. They're losing recruits. They're taking people who have committed and have lost them. At case in point, every quarterback they had on the roster up until Trevor Knight transferred. Texas A&M's just falling apart. I just don't think they'll do that well. They haven't been doing that well, and I don't think they'll do that well this year either. To move on to their schedule, looking at it, there's a couple 50-50 games on here. They start out with UCLA, and that's a loss. I'm sorry. That's an L. You're taking that L right there. And then they have Prairie View A&M, and Texas A&M will be the better of the two A&Ms in that week. I did not know Prairie View A&M was even a football team. So there's two out-of-conference games right there, splitting those 50-50, 1-1. Going into the Auburn game in Jordan-Hare at Auburn, I have that down as a 50-50 game. It's going to be close. It's just there's so many questions around both teams. It's kind of hard to look at that. Auburn don't know who the quarterback's going to be. They just got rid of their starting running back. Just got dismissed from the team. Defensively, there's a lot of questions at Auburn as well as there is at Texas A&M. So there's just a lot of questions for both teams. That's why I put it as 50-50. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more Auburn than I am Texas A&M, and that's not because I'm an Auburn fan. It's just because on paper I feel like Auburn's probably the better team, at least right now. Excuse me. And then they go to Arkansas, and I have that down as no. They don't. They take Arkansas at home. Arkansas is going to be coming to College Station. And I have that as an L. Arkansas is good. They're sneaky good. Brett Bielema, I don't know, man. He's got them playing it. They like him. I don't know why. I don't like him that much. I think he's kind of annoying, but they like him. And Arkansas's playing well. They're getting better and better. They've lost some talent, especially on the offensive side, especially in the running back place, but they're good. And I think Arkansas can win that one. Then they'll take South Carolina, who I think could be the worst team in the SEC this year. So that's a win there. Then they're playing Tennessee, and you guys know how I feel about Tennessee. I think Tennessee is best team, one of the best teams in the nation. So that's an L for Texas A&M again. Then right after Texas A&M plays Tennessee, they take Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and that one's gonna hurt. The two of them back to back is not pleasant. At least they get Tennessee at home, but those are both going to be L's. Then they have NMSU, New Mexico State University. That's a win. Easy cupcake game. Then they play Mississippi State. I have that down as the other 50-50 game. Mississippi State, I covered them last week. I believe that was last week. Yeah, it was last week. A lot of questions revolving them as well, just as many as Texas A&M. Two programs I think are in very similar situations as far as caliber and class and where they're going to be in the SEC. Texas A&M is probably going to win more games just because they're scheduled a little bit easier, but I don't think these two programs – I think they're in a very similar place and they're not moving in the right direction. That's a 50-50 game as well. And then Ole Miss, that's a loss. Sorry, that's just a loss. UTSA, that's a win. And then finishing out in the Golden Boot game against LSU. LSU is a very talented team. I have them going very far. And if you haven't – if I don't think I've spoiled it yet. If I haven't yet, I'm sure I have. But I'll go ahead and do it. I have LSU going to SEC Championship, so that would be an L as well. So for those of you counting at home, that is 4-8, 1-7 in the SEC, assuming the worst. That's taking an L in both of those 50-50 games in Auburn and Mississippi State, and at best having one of those, both of those being wins. I have them at 6-6, 3-5 in the SEC, 4-8 or 6-6, or maybe just in between that at 5-7. I really don't think they're going to make a bowl this year. I really don't. Myles Garrett is good, but one player cannot make a team, especially a defensive player. One superstar can make a team great, but if that superstar is on the defensive line, there are ways around it, and that is the exact situation you have there in Texas A&M at College Station. So it'll be interesting. If they make a bowl, I think that'd be a good year for Texas A&M. I know they probably would not be happy with it, but I think that'd be a good year for them. But moving on to a very exciting, interesting team, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide, defending national champions, 14-1, 7-1 in the SEC last year. And right off the bat, the first thing I think of when I think of Alabama this year is who's going to play quarterback. And I'll get into that in a little bit here at the end of the kind of team review here. But let's start off with what they have that is strong. And my God, do they have wide receivers? Lane Kiffin is very happy, and he's not hiding or keeping any secrets as far as how happy he is with the wide receivers at Alabama. See, Calvin Ridley, a potential first All-American wide receiver, came in out of nowhere. He's great. Yet another player at Alabama in the long line of great receivers to play there. And then also Robert Foster, who you might not find that name super familiar. If you think back to the beginning of last year, he was actually the starter, and Calvin Ridley was behind him. But Robert Foster got injured, I believe, in week 3, and that's when Calvin Ridley hit the scene. So with the two of them both healthy and playing, that's going to be dangerous. That's a dangerous pairing. And then add Ardarius Stewart, who started every game for Alabama as well last year. The receiving core is yet another in a long line of great receivers to play at Alabama. And if they can get somebody to give them the ball, which with the three of them on the field, someone's going to be always going to be open, as well as the fact you add O.J. Howard to the mix. Someone's always going to be open. Like, I'm not talking like, soft coverage man on man. I'm talking about wide open. Because these guys are good. So, a lot of passing yards I expect Alabama this year if they can name the right starter. But let's move on. Let's move on to the defense before I get to the quarterback situation. Looking at the offense as a whole, the defense, very quick and easy to look at. Alabama reloading once again on defense. New defensive coordinator Jeremy Pruitt's taking over there with Kirby Smart leaving and taking over the head coaching position at Georgia. Super easy transition. He's been there. He's done it. He understands the pressure. Nothing is different at all. Nothing's changed. The players are even quoted saying, yeah, it's the same. It's exactly the same. As well as the fact that Nick Saban, commonly defensive coach, I read an article that said first day of practice. Nick Saban very hands-on with the DBs, as he always is. So expect it to be a defense by committee there as far as coaching goes between Jeremy Pruitt and Nick Saban. How much, and it's an interesting question that I actually wrote down, is how much of Alabama's defense through Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama has been Nick Saban, how much have been Kirby Smart, how much of it will be Jeremy Pruitt, and the naive side of me says it's the defensive coordinator. But, there's no way, right? Right? There's no way someone like Nick Saban, you're just letting somebody else go in and do the defense without any sort of there's no way, right? Nick Saban has a lot to say about that. He's a powerful recruiter. He gets great talent in. He wants to see those players. He knows what he wants. He knows what he likes. And I just don't see him not having a huge impact. So I expect there to be no drop-off with the defense. People are saying this could be the best defense for Alabama ever. I don't know about that. I'd have to see them play. It's going to be good. I want to say they were the third in the nation. Yes, they were the third in the nation last year in points against. So that's how they always are. There's two defensive philosophies. There's bend, don't break, and there's I'm not going to let you cross the 50. And we all know which side of those two defenses Alabama lies on, and that's we're not going to let you cross the 50. They are good. They are attacking. They are big, strong, fast, and they're going to be great again this year. Best ever? I don't know, but they'll be good. As far as the offense is concerned, I don't know what question is bigger. Who is going to be quarterback, or how does it feel replacing Derrick Henry, Heisman Trophy winner Derrick Henry? Is Bo Scarborough the answer? Does he have what it takes? Can he do it? In a word, yes. He looks the same. He's got the same broad shoulders, fast feet, same haircut even. He looks the same. He runs the same. I think he can. He's great. He's good. He had an injury last year, so he didn't play very much, if at all. But he will be good, very good. But can Alabama handle the hype? A few days ago, preseason AP poll came out, putting Alabama at number 1. I have issues with the preseason AP poll. I just always do, and I'm not going to get on that tangent because I get ranty when I do, but I'll probably bring it up at some point once the season starts. I just have issues with it. It's annoying. But nonetheless, Alabama is number 1. So can they handle the hype? Calvin Ridley, Cam Robinson, O.J. Howard would put down as the leaders on that team, and they're going to be having to replace some big names like Ryan Kelly, names like Reggie Ragland, Jacob Coker. These are big names, leaders on this team, and they're gone, and they're going to have to replace them. Calvin Ridley is very young. He's going to have to step up this year. Can they do it? I've been looking at, and then also, of course, the question I asked when I first think about Alabama, when I first started talking about Alabama, who is their quarterback? What's going to be? What's the situation? Cooper Bateman is the presumed favorite, but then there's also David Cornwall, Blake Barnett, Jalen Hurts, even a fifth name I heard. I forgot the fifth name. I saw it just before I started. They even let a walk-on take a couple throws in practice the other day, throwing a couple passes to O.J. Howard. Nick Saban, as always, super secretive. Week 1 against USC, I would not be surprised there's not a starter named. I'd be shocked if you didn't see. I'd probably narrow it down to 2, Cooper Bateman, and take your pick of the other 3. Probably going to be 2 guys until week 2 or week 3 at least. I think that's what happened last year. Jacob Coker coming out and saying he hadn't won the job until they played Ole Miss week 3, and Jacob Coker named the starter for the rest of the year. But that game, that week he's talking about, he didn't even start that week. Cooper Bateman did. So who knows what's going on, Nick Saban? I would not, Blake Sims saying he wasn't named until after week 2. So Nick Saban is very commonly very secretive reports coming in from reporters in ESPN that they only see 14, 15 minutes of practice, and that little snippet they can't tell. They're taking equal throws with the same players, so there's no way. And is anybody really surprised by that? It's Nick Saban. That's just what it's going to be. You're not going to find out. What we know about the players at quarterback for Alabama today is the same thing we knew 3 weeks ago. It's going to be the same thing we're going to know in 3 weeks. Nothing. Those 4 names, and Cooper Bateman's probably the favorite, and that's all you're really going to know. Nick Saban said it's all about who wins the locker room. Okay. I mean, sure, you can say that all day long. I don't believe it. Who's the better passer? It's not. I mean, winning the locker room, being leader is big, but it's who's the better passer. Who's the better passer is going to have to be the leader. That's what's going to happen. And they're not going to name him until whoever is the better passer does take a leadership role. That's what he's talking about. But, so interesting fun fact here before I get into looking at the record or the season for Alabama is Nick Saban, this little factoid here, Nick Saban, 52-4 with a first-year quarterback at the helm of Alabama. This year he will be doing it again, but, and that's 4 times it's happened, first-year quarterback for Nick Saban. And each 4 times that has happened, there's been experience at the running back position. If it's Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, T.J. Yeldon, Trent Richardson, what have you. This year is different. There is little to no experience at the running back position. So the whole backfield, quarterback and running back, question marks, little to no experience for Alabama. And this is the first year that's ever happened with Nick Saban having to replace both. So, and before, when Derrick Henry got introduced into the offense, he started getting a lot more playing time towards the end of the season before he became the official starter. This year didn't happen due to injury with Bo Scarborough. It just didn't happen. So, as well as the fact that last year he was 3rd on the depth chart anyways because of, the talent they have there is ridiculous. So it'll be interesting to see how that does work out. That being said, I think they will figure it out because it's Alabama and it's Nick Saban, and I'd be an idiot to bet against them. So let's look at this schedule here. USC, Western Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Kent's UK, at Arkansas, at Tennessee, Texas A&M, at LSU, Mississippi State, Chattanooga, and then finishing out in the Iron Bowl. Not that hard of a schedule. Nick Saban and Alabama are one of the better schools in the nation at scheduling well. You can tell, you really look at a team schedule and tell a lot about this team. This is a good schedule. The hard games are spaced out. You get USC opening. That's a tough game. It's Alabama. They'll win. That's how they do it. There'll be a tight game at the beginning of the game. Halftime, Alabama will pull away. USC will be good. I think they're overhyped this year, and I think Alabama is Alabama. So there's a win there. Western Kentucky, do I need to say? That's like a 60-plus win for Alabama at Ole Miss. Is there any way Ole Miss can win 3 in a row against the Crimson Tide? Ole Miss does have the help of having that game at home. I have not talked about Ole Miss yet, but I'll give it a hint. It's Chad Kelly and nobody else. So I don't think Ole Miss will make it 3 in a row against Alabama. I think Alabama takes this one. Kent, Nick Saban, and Gary Pinkel's alma mater. Win. That's a cupcake. Kentucky, also another cupcake within the SEC. Another win at Arkansas. I just talked about Arkansas possibly beating Texas A&M. Being good, not great. Much better than they have been in the past. But not good enough to beat Alabama. And that has Alabama at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 0 heading into the Tennessee game in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that is the first blemish I have on Alabama's record. Tennessee is great. They're going to be really good this year. But let's be honest, that's, week 7? Yeah, week 7. And that's usually when Alabama kind of starts to find another gear. So if that happens, I don't think anybody can stop them. We saw it last year. Beginning of the season, they weren't playing well. And then out of nowhere, they came up and nobody could stop them. Beginning of the year, they weren't playing very well at all. And I was like, they're not doing well. And then at the end of the season, I was like, they might not have the best record. They might have lost a game at the beginning of the year. But they're playing the best football in the nation right now. So, and that's how it is almost every year. They find that next year around week 6, 7, 8, and what have you. And that's exactly when they get Tennessee. Luck for Alabama. So I still think Tennessee is better. So I'll give that an L for Alabama. Then they're playing Texas A&M. Not going to be pretty. Then they get LSU in Death Valley. I have that as another blemish as well. I just think LSU is going to be good this year. I really do. I'll preview them. I forget which week it is. I don't have my whiteboard with all my schools on it and listed in order, so I don't remember which week I'm doing which schools anymore. But I think LSU is going to be good this year as well, returning a lot of talent outside of Tennessee. I think they're the most talented team in the SEC. It would be Tennessee, LSU, then Alabama. Tennessee is going to be a real deal, and I have that being. And also, that's at home for LSU. I do think, however, this Alabama-LSU game is going back to the years past where it's been the game of the century. I think this year is going to be much more like that than it was last year or the year before that. And then finish off Mississippi State, Chattanooga, and then Auburn in the Iron Bowl. I have those 3 games as wins as well. But like Alabama's hardest games, you got Ole Miss, bookended by Western Kentucky and Kent. Then Tennessee, bookended by Arkansas, Texas A&M. And then LSU, bookended by Texas A&M and Mississippi State. So these hardest, and then Auburn, Chattanooga, and then postseason. So like, their hardest games are bookended by these really easy schools. There's no 2 hard games in a row as there is for Texas A&M, as there is for Auburn or Tennessee even. They don't have that this year. So on top of the fact they get the bye week as well. So Alabama, they have time to rest and recover. If they have injuries, they have time to recover from that. But all that being said, I do have them going 10-2, 6-2 in the SEC. Let it also be known there's a very strong chance they're going to go undefeated this year. The only competition they have on this schedule is USC, Tennessee, and LSU. Outside that, they're not losing to anybody. They're not. So if they beat USC, Tennessee, and LSU, they're gone. They're 12-0. They're headed to the SEC championship game. And also, there's a couple more things to get to. But I have them at 10-2, and I have them tied with LSU in the SEC West. LSU having the tiebreaker, so that's why I have LSU going to the SEC championship and not Alabama. But also let it be known, hypothetically now, I don't like hypotheticals, but hypothetically, Alabama loses to Tennessee, beats LSU, Alabama heads to the SEC championship game against Tennessee in a rematch game. I like Alabama in rematch games. I don't think Nick Saban's going to lose to the same school twice. So that's also a little something to consider. But that's it. Alabama, it's going to be good this year. How good that's a big question. But they will be good. Big question mark at running back. Big question mark at quarterback. Wide receiver is going to be good as ever. Defense is going to be dominant. Texas A&M is a huge, just big old question mark. Who knows? Nobody knows. But from my home here in Birmingham, where I grew up, that is my show today. I'll be back next Wednesday doing 2 more schools. Like I said, I don't have my boards here, so I don't remember which schools are next. But there's going to be 2 more next. As I said at the beginning of this SEC extravaganza, I'm just going in the order that they came in SEC Media Days. So that is the order I'm sticking to. But until next week, I will see you guys and talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good and awesome, safe week. And wish me luck, guys. I start school next Tuesday. So next time I talk to you guys will be immediately following my first day of class again in the fall with a full semester load of 15 hours. So that'll be fun. I might be switching up what days I do it on, just depending on how classes go. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. And so I might make this a weekend deal. I might make it like a Monday morning, record on the weekends, post on Monday morning. So I don't know. We'll see, but I'll keep you guys updated. Follow me on Twitter to keep up with any sort of news or anything I'm doing. And let me just say before I go, I'm about to go edit this and watch the Olympics. I feel like I'm crazy. I get all worked up watching archery and like field hockey. I watched archery for like 2 hours yesterday. What? I just get so excited about all these. Talk about patriotism. Wow, goodness gracious. I'm sure everybody else is, but the Olympics is going on. I'll do a review of the Olympics once it's over. I can't do it during because there's just so many freaking events. I don't know what to do. But I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for listening and coming by. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.